President Joe Biden holds a very important talk with banks and gas companies, and the stock market is recovering. But question is for how long? Now, states in the country are reporting more and more surplus in their budget. Take Maryland's $7.5 billion budget now. That's huge for the state quite a bit. According to comptroller Peter Francis, however, it is a one-time only money, so we need to use in a way that is fiscally responsible and quote, how should they get this money back? Stimulus check. There are still checks going out to the people now. These particular checks will be provided to low-income families in the state and may benefit hundreds of thousands of people. Send $2,000 survival checks immediately to 470,000 Maryland's family that are low-wage earners. They are struggling, they have no money. A pay to bankruptcy for the state is to put the $7.5 billion into the operating budget and commit future legislature to sustain that because it's only one time only and quotes. U.S. stock futures held steady in the past weekend after 500 best weeks in 2020. One bit of good news is April is historical one of the best months for stocks. So, the calendar remains positive for the bulls unquote. Now, in the past week, we have seen very volatile movement in the stock market, but the S&P 500 recovered nearly half of its correction losses just last week. And with a clear move from the Federal Reserve on raising interest rates, investors may now finally get back to what they should be doing. I think the stage has been set by the Fed for investors to focus on earnings. Again, bottom line earnings estimates since the beginning of the year have risen in the course. And speaking of Russia, sanctions against the country have definitely made the life of Russians difficult, from watching their money lose value daily to have trades ban almost everything that has been done to try and sway the president's reactions. But as we have seen on the news and multiple highlights on different news channels, Putin has not budged in, which is actually doubling down on his intentions by stealing copyrighted fast food chain in the market, as Russia is one of the biggest suppliers of oil in the world. President Biden will meet with banks, energy companies, and other firms to discuss the impact of ensuring sanctions on Russia and how these affect us. Economists are saying, all things considered, it looks like we are heading toward better times as the senior economist for Moody's Analytics put Russian invasion of Ukraine as some uncertainty to the outlook. As energy prices have spiked and business and consumer sentiment has taken a hit. Economists seem to generally agree here with companies hungry for labor. The labor market and economy will ride down the storm. There were 11.3 million shop openings at the end of January, with a record 1.8 open positions per unemployed person. This misalignment between demand for labor and supply is pushing wage growth, which should provide some cushion to households against soaring gasoline prices. We are finally realizing that the government's been holding out on us along. So now, after we've seen how much stimulus have Congress could actually come up with, we are not going to come back for anything less than what we are doing. If enough people move to the government actually follows, and some of these big money corporations with our country leading the way in sanctions against Russia, their aggression toward Ukraine, the global movement of different commodities have been more effective. The meeting may also be due to the White House call to action for energy suppliers after jumping prices. President Biden has actually criticized gas companies for maintaining high prices at the pump even as oil recedes from recent highs, saying that, quote, oil and gas companies should then pay their profits at the expense of hardworking Americans, unquote. Shocking gas prices at the highest levels, even at the same time big oil companies are ranking in huge profit. Yes, the time is now for a windfall profit tax, and quote, now with energy companies. We should probably try and look for ways to be productive and also make a little bit of cash on the side. Now, today's side hustle is an e-commerce website that allows you to buy and sell items of all kinds. And think of it as a hub for selling your used items and stuff that you don't need anymore, namely clothes, shoes, and home decor. etc., it's almost impossible to list every item in every category. You can also sell brand new items as well and list them, and you only have to pay a very small fee once your items actually sells now. The fee is somewhere around 3.5% or allows visibility on their site to 30%. Now, the setup of website is very simple and you get to decide exactly how much you are willing to sell your stuff for your control the market. Bonus websites that you can utilize if you need to sell some stuff from your home or hopefully clear up some space with hundreds of items. Well, many of the critical investments from the AARP were temporary. They provided essential support to individuals, families, and communities as they sought to rebuild and recover. Federal investment gave states and cities the flexibility to spend funds in their communities to address needs in multiple areas. For example, Michigan and Minnesota used AARP funds to maximize benefits for working people by providing hazard pay and bonuses to essential and frontline workers who kept state economies and services running while much of the country was in lockdown. Take a look at what local and state government leaders are saying. These funds supported pandemic response and will laser focus on investing in critical issues for Nevadans like housing and coal. New Mexico Governor Michelle Risham quoted a year ago. Today, President of the United States enacted the American Rescue Plan, delivering billions of dollars to support New Mexico, and RPA has made possible innovative investment in programs that reduce costs and build a stronger foundation for New Mexico families, including a historic expansion of childcare. We enacted the single largest eligibility expansion in the history of New Mexico's Child Care Assistance Program. AARP helped them to begin restoring these critical services and bring back our employees. Everyone was furloughed for the most part except for our uniforms. Then we began to restore and invest in our business and our communities by organized. So that should also be responsive to our communities. And we really heavily invested in housing and shelter, particularly for our most vulnerable or homeless and coal lawmakers are delivering different forms of stimulus, whether it be on the federal level or local level. Minnesota is fighting over how much stimulus to get Democratic Farmer Labor Party, along with governors say that since the surplus had grown so much since the original bonus pool of $250 million was originally agreed to, the pot should be increased to $1 billion. Republicans initially insisted that only direct care, healthcare workers, and first responders should get bonuses. A smaller pool of workers could allow checks to be in the $1,500 range. DFR leader want a much larger group of workers rewarded, including meat packers, grocery workers, daycare staff, and others by growing the pot to $1 billion. The checks could still be in the $1,500 worker range. Another local stimulus proposal is one from the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands. Now, without getting into all the details, so Governor Ralph Torres said he does not prefer to give fuel vouchers, but instead plans to give or release another round of local stimulus funds using the American Rescue Plans Fund Act. Now, when asked to share more details about it, Correa said the community should be expecting additional assistance and that it could be more than $500. It needs to be done by April 2022. If I give stimulus whether you have a vehicle or not, you'll be able to provide for your family and vote. Lowering prescription drug prices is definitely going to help people out with those out-of-control price hikers. This is especially useful for our Social Security funds. Now, all Democrats actually passed a tax reform, climate, and prescription drug package without Republican support. Joe mentioned he envisions half of the revenue from the bill going toward deficit reduction and fighting inflation, which he does believe is very popular among voters.